Hello and welcome to a video on VRKSASANA, the yoga tree posture. VRKSASANA is a balance practice and it carries a lot of symbolism. The tree symbolises the cycle of life. It also symbolises life itself in a way as well. There's also with the tree a connection between the earth and the sky, between the earthly existence and the spiritual existence, the embodied existence and the existence of the soul. In yoga as well, balance practices tend to carry a meditational aspect. In order to balance, the mind needs to really focus within the body, within the space of the body, within the strength and the softness that the body is able to balance in order to find a physical balanced position on one leg. And this focus is part of the meditational aspect of the asana or the yoga posture practice. It begins to help the mind to move into a space from out of which meditation is easier. In this video, we're going to prepare the body for VRKSASANA, releasing the hips, front of the hips, insides of the hip joints, lengthening the legs a little bit, and opening the sides of the body so that the spine can be really tall and free in the tree practice. Let's begin by coming down onto the mat, rolling down through the spine, using the abdominal muscles to bring you down easily. And just going to let the legs extend and roll the legs outwards for a moment, let the arms roll outwards. Just spend a moment or two to let the mind centre to within the body. Being aware of the mind within the body. The mind able to connect with that length and breadth and depth of space that is the body. Observing the contact that the body has with the earth beneath it at present. The weight of the body as it rests into that contact. The way in which as the breath moves in and out of the body's a little bit lighter on the inhalations, a little bit heavier on the exhalations. Allowing the spine to be long and released from the crown of the head towards the tailbone. You might be able to feel how the breath and the spine interact with one another here. Just being in the body, another 2 slow full rounds of the breath, really connecting with your own body, the space that it occupies, and the energy that flows within it. And then gently allowing the arms and the legs to roll back in again, legs in line with the hip joints. Just testing if as you stretch into your leg, if you let your tailbone tuck under, you can feel the lower spine lengthening through towards the heel that you're stretching into. We're going to work into Yastikasana to each side, stretching down into the leg the way I've just been suggesting, and also breathing in to reach your arm back. And we're going to exhale here, aiming to really, again, feel the spine stretching between the tailbone and the crown of the head. Breathing in to create more space generally in this position. And then on the exhalation, bringing the arm back to the side and just relaxing through the whole body. And then working through on the left side. So beginning with that stretch down towards the heel, directing the tailbone towards the heel, inhaling to lengthen back through the left arm, exhaling here to draw the navel to the spine, really reach and stretch. Once again, breathing in, more space in the body, and then on the exhalation, the arm coming to the side. We're going to let this version of Yastikasana work through twice more to each side. So breathing in, stretching down towards your heel, releasing the right arm up and back, exhaling here to lengthen the spine, keeping the small of the back quite long and low. Breathing in again, more space, more length, and then again exhaling to release. Breathing in to lengthen down into the left heel, reach back into the left arm. Feel the side of the body opening, seeing if that sense of opening can reach right through to the side of the spine. Second exhalation, relaxing the arm to the mat. So breathing in again, right side, breathing out, breathing in lots of space, and again, exhalation to relax and let go. Last time, stretching down towards the left heel, lengthening back into the left arm, inhaling, exhaling here to stretch up, stretch down, breathing in lots and lots of space, and exhaling to relax the arm towards the side. From there, we're going to let the knees bend and the soles of the feet coming in contact with the mat. And then we're going to take the right leg and cross it over the left leg so that your ankle is resting just to the outside of the left knee. And ideally, we have quite a tight, quite a narrow position between the knees and the hip joint. So on the right side, the knee will probably be a little bit wider than the hip joint. But we're going to try and work this tight position so we really open up the muscles around the hip joint. When the leg drifts off to the side, it's a lot less effective, this position, Susyasarandasana, the keyhole, for opening the hip. But however, it has to be remembered if there's too much strain going on the knee joint, if there's too much of a stretch of the muscles around the knee joint, then modifying the position a bit by bringing the foot across. So it's something to gauge, and to gauge carefully, because we don't want to overstretch the muscles around the knee too fast. With time, if we keep coming back to this practice, we may find that we're able to get into a tighter position with greater comfort. So taking up this crossed leg position according to what feels best for us and which will be at the same time effective. And we're going to relax and broaden out across the back of the hips as we breathe out, and relax and broaden out across the back of the waist, freeing length through the spine as you need to, and broaden out and relax across the breadth of the back of the ribcage and the shoulders. Good idea as well to soften between the shoulder blades and the ribcage, and allowing our neck to be nice and long and released here as well. And then beginning the focus onto the hip, and really trying to, as you breathe out each time, relax as deep into the inside of your hip joint as you can. Your exhalations to really soften deep into the hip joint, releasing it and allowing this right thigh to open away gradually and gently. And then from here, as you feel ready, we're going to let the legs come up and towards us. And this is the point at which often the foot tends to slip off towards the side. Seeing if you possibly can, just keeping it there on your thigh. If possible, reaching through to the inside and the outside of this leg. If not, you can always wrap a strap around the back of the thigh or a scarf or something to help support it. Breathing, still aiming to feel on your exhalations that the hips broaden into the mat, the waist, the ribs, the shoulders. And as you're breathing in, seeing if you can create space into the depth of your hip joint, inside of the right hip joint. And then again on the exhalation, relaxing your back into the mat. And it may be that the legs begin to come forward. I often as well just hold on to my foot to help me keep it in position. So let's work a last round of the breath here. Lots of space into the inside of the hip joint again, and on the exhalation broadening out across the back of the hips, waist, ribs, shoulders. And then from here we're going to just keep hold of the right leg more or less where it is, and bringing the left leg through so that the soles of the feet come towards each other. So it's Supta Mandukasana, the supine frog. And as we work to hold the ankles here, often the neck can arch upwards. So just maybe holding over the fronts of insides of the ankles instead of at the back of the ankles. And see how it works. And then from here, we're going to just lengthen this leg off towards the side to get a little bit of opening, a little bit of extra opening through the inside thigh. And as the leg goes to the side, it's important to remember that you need to support it. So the inside leg is stretching, but often we need to use a little bit of strength on the outside of the hip, outside of the thigh, so that the weight of the leg isn't resting too heavily in the hip joint. Sometimes this can be uncomfortable for people. The other thing that we can do is to support the leg with the hand. So you just take one hand and let the outside of your thigh close to your knee just rest into the support of your hand with the elbow resting on the floor. And just another couple of breaths here. And then as you're ready again, on an exhalation, let's fold that leg in. We let the legs come in and towards each other again, and then circling the hips on the mat 2 or 3 times in one direction, and also 2 or 3 times in the opposite direction. So let's bring the feet back through towards the mat, just arranging our back again so it's nice and lengthened. And then bringing the left leg up and crossing the left leg onto the right thigh. So again, just so that your ankle ideally is resting to the outside of your right thigh. But all the same, adjusting that if it's not comfortable, or if when you bring the legs forward, there's too much pressure on the knee joint. To help with that pressure, it's useful to try and relax through the depth of the inside of the hip joint. So we just spend those 2 or 3 breaths here, really as best we can, breathing in to imagine a sense of space opening up in the inside of the left hip joint. And then with your exhalation, relaxing your hips into the mat, broadening them out right side, left side, and broadening the waist out right side, left side, and broadening and relaxing the ribs and the shoulders right side, left side. So that space into the hip joint on the inhalations, and then relaxing your back on the exhalations. And after 3 or 4 breaths here, then we may be ready again to let the legs lift up and coming in and towards us. And ideally, we bring the legs to the point where we're still keeping this knee quite wide, continuing the breathing practice the way we had it before. So breathing in, visualizing that space, coming into the inside of the left hip joint, and then breathing out, really relaxing your back into the mat. So a few breaths here, remembering to keep your neck easy. If it's easier to extend the reach of your arms, just using a strap or a scarf around the back of this leg. And so a last slow full round of the breath here, VRKSASANA, the keyhole. And then once again, we're going to hold the left leg pretty much in the position where it is as we bring the right leg up. And then the soles of the feet coming together, or the toes coming together. Just see what feels comfortable. Checking in again with your spine, including your neck. Letting the pelvis widen out against the mat, and the waist and the ribs and the shoulders. And again, if it's easier, just holding the legs over the insides of the ankles, or supporting the legs at the sides with the hands is another way to go. So from this position, we're going to, again, this time extend the left leg to open the inner thighs a bit more. And so I usually use lots of deep abdominal strength in the lower abdomen, especially navel pulling to the spine. And I let the leg move. There's a line that the leg has got here in the Supta Mandukasana. And as I'm extending, I move out in accordance with that line of the thigh. I don't aim at the beginning to go a lot lower. I just come out at that height. And then once I'm here, I can begin to relax the leg to the side more. And the knee can always be bent. And again, we can always support the leg with the hand underneath. Breathing in to create space into the hip joint. And then again on the exhalation, relaxing your back into the mat. Just let the leg come comfortably lower. And it's always useful as well as you breathe in to let the knee bend and to just gently lengthen the thigh away from the hip joint. Exhalation, lots of abdominal strength, strength on the outside of the leg, and the leg comes just a little bit more towards the side. So, and a last breath here. And once again, as you're ready, on an exhalation, folding that leg back in and towards you and circling the hips on the mat once more to release the back and to relax both hip joints. Now, as you're ready, we're going to roll over onto the side and then press up towards seated. And let's continue to open the hip joints with letting the legs move out to the sides, VRKSASANA, bound ankle pose, beginning with the back nice and tall. And again, just the legs have got this sort of natural trajectory as we sit on the floor. They'll be going out at a certain angle. And as you're breathing in, lengthening outwards along that angle, keeping the abdominal muscles nice and strong and the back tall. And then as you breathe out, let the legs sink down a little bit. And then breathing in, lengthen out along that angle. And then breathing out, release down a little bit. And what's also very key here and useful is as you lengthen through that angle, let your spine lift up and lengthen at the same time. And then gradually, it may be possible to begin to come forwards. So still working to open the thighs upwards and outwards. Strong lift in the lower abdomen moving forwards. So for some people, it's quite hard to get a lift through the lower spine when the legs are quite close. Some people can bring the heels really close and still keep the spine lifted. Some are sort of in medium position, or it may be that the legs need to go quite a lot further away for you to be able to hinge in readily. And again, legs can always go a little bit wider at the foot, so that this may be an altogether easier position, but you will still feel, if this feels more comfortable for the lower spine, more aligned for the lower spine, you'll still feel the inner thighs opening quite a bit here. And it's always better to work a yoga asana that is going to open your body the best. There's no need to be rigid about how the yoga asanas are practiced. We can adjust them and adapt them so that they feel right for our body, helping us to open where we individually have constriction. And really, the yoga practice is about you, each of us in our own practice. It is about us. It is about finding our own inner space, our own openness, our own spirit, our own quiet, our own yoga or union. And if the body is under a lot of stress in a particular posture, there's not a lot of union there, really. So from that perspective alone, it's always, if we're looking to have a yoga practice rather than just a stretching practice, it's always better to try and find a practice that is individually suited to us. So coming out of the VRKSASANA, let's just open and stretch our toes a little. So we're going to try and fan the toes outwards and then just scrunch the toes up again. And then fan the toes outwards, you can breathe in there, try to fan them out. And then again, breathing out, scrunching them up. So just try to stretch the feet here, preparing them for when we come into the tree balance. Opening the toes and breathing out to come back. Good. And then we just let the toes relax. And then from there, let's bring ourselves around towards the all fours. Just let the spine be nice and long in the all fours position. And again, we'll aim to stretch the feet just a little bit. We can tuck the toes under behind us and stretching back. And for some people, they'll be able to come back quite far. Maybe they've done this a lot, or perhaps they just have quite flexible feet. But taking care with these kind of stretches for the feet. So remember, you're stretching muscles between all the very little joints of the feet and the toes. And you don't want to overstretch any of those muscles, just give them time. So So if you feel quite a powerful stretch in this position, then stick in this position. If it's perfectly bearable to go further back, then try that. So a last couple of breaths here. And then as you're ready again, just releasing the toes. Sometimes people like to just gently beat the feet on the mat to release. From here, we're already in quite a convenient position for coming up into the downward facing dog. So let's open the collarbones, navel pulling to the spine, powerful lift in the lower abdomen, exhaling to lift away, stretching back, opening the sides of the body from your fingertips, through the ribs, into the waist, into the sitting bones. Powerful lift in the lower abdomen, navel pulling to the spine, going back with the thighs and abdomen close to one another, and then allowing the heels to sink downwards as you draw up through the kneecaps and the fronts of the thigh muscles, and keeping your abdomen really lifted and engaged. So just a couple of breaths here. Letting your ribs and your waist and your hips broaden out so the spine can lengthen forwards. Keeping lots of strength in your upper back and in your abdomen to support that lengthening. And a last breath in the downward facing dog. And as you're ready, I'm going to breathe in and walk the hands back towards the legs, letting your spine lengthen forwards and downwards from the tailbone towards the crown of the head. And again here, the knees can bend as you let your spine unfurl, and between the tailbone and the crown of the head, lengthening. Let the collarbones be nice and broad and open, shoulder blades wide and moving up the back, spine lengthening forwards and downwards as best you can. You can always, instead, if that feels too long a stretch, work with the arms on your thighs. So just here, as you're ready, again, breathing in to let your spine lengthen along the lines of the thighs, the center of the line of the thighs. Stretching abdominal muscles nice and lifted, and as you breathe out, keep the arms on the thighs for support and try to lift up from the heels to the sitting bones. Powerful lift in the lower abdomen is always very helpful here. And then once again, from either position, lots of deep lift in the abdominal muscles. Let's breathe in and roll up through the spine little by little, all the way through to standing. And from either position, rolling up all the way through to standing. So being in standing now, we're going to continue to open the sides of the body. So let's just come into Tadasana, the mountain pose, allowing the tailbone to sink downwards, the crown of the head to move upwards, lengthening the spine all the way through. Lots of engagement in the lower abdomen and navel pulling to the spine, collarbones nice and broad and open, and the shoulders relaxing into the weight of the arms. A little bit of gentle tension lifting up through the fronts and the backs of the thighs into the gluteal muscles, and thinking about the soles of the feet that we were just stretching and opening. Trying to find a good balance, center of the heel, ball of the foot, pad of the little toe, lengthening the toes away from the foot, opening the toe joints again. Just breathing here for a moment, just seeing where the body can relax in order to free its height, and where the body maybe needs to engage a little bit more strength and to stay nice and tall and lengthened. And then we're going to come through to stretching the sides. It's Chakrasana. To breathe in to let the right arm flow up. And then similarly to what we did lying on the back, breathing out to stretch up, stretch down, to really open the side. Breathing in again, lots and lots of space, stretching your spine between the tailbone and the crown. And from the tailbone, let each vertebra lift up to come over. Try to create a really big arc going up and over so that this side of the waist pushes up towards your right side. And these ribs keep lifting. If it's comfortable, looking past the shoulder, checking that you've got enough work in your legs to keep you well supported at the base of the spine. Breathing here. And then as you're ready, on an inhalation, restacking the spine segment by segment, and exhaling, bringing the arm down to the side. Working through on the other side, breathing in, the arms sweeping up. Lots of space through the side of the rib cage. Breathing out, tailbone sinks down, pressing your left foot into the floor, reaching up. Once again, breathing in, lots and lots of space. From here again, let the tailbone sink down and each vertebra lifting up to come over, up to come over. Keep enough strength in the legs so that the base of the spine is supported, creating a great big arc or a bow. If you think about the tension of an arrow being pulled in the bow, keeping this underside strong, lifting these ribs up, breathing. If you feel strong enough, looking past your shoulder, breathing here, last breath, and once again inhaling to restack the spine, segment by segment, back up to standing. And again, just coming back into Tadasana, allowing the body to be balanced through both sides, feeling the spine lengthening the center of the body. And then, as you're ready, we're going to let the legs come wide, placing them quite wide, and using a lot of that hip opening that we've been working on already for the warrior two position. So let's draw lots of strength up through the thighs at the front and the back, breathing in to sweep the arms up, exhaling to pass the hands through to Namaste. Breathing into from the top of your hip joint, revolving your left leg, turning it in, so the outside edge of the foot rolls into the floor and the arch lifts, exhalation there. Breathing in to revolve at the top of the leg at the hip joint, your right leg, turning it out, and then again breathing out, setting the foot to the mat, evening up, center of the heel, ball of the foot, pad of the little toe, engaged to the mat. Now as you're ready, breathing in to lengthen both thighs evenly away from the hip joints. Remember to keep the back thigh quite active, lengthening away, your spine really, really tall here in the center. As you're ready again, next inhalation, we're going to open the arms, fingertips to fingertips, lengthening across the heart center, aiming to feel lots of freedom through your spine here, lots of energy flowing through the spine. Looking towards the back of the posture, breathing in, reaching into your left fingertips, turning the arm at the shoulder, and bringing that left arm into the back of the waist, and if you can, taking hold of the top of your right thigh. Lots of strength there still into your back leg, a little bit allowing your spine to spiral forwards now towards your right leg. Breathing in, front knee above the ankle, and really stretching up through the right side of your body. So releasing again those muscles that we just opened in the Chakrasana. So breathing here, breathing, and as you're ready, on an inhalation, stretch up, and breathing out, passing back through to our starting position, exhaling
to Namaste. Left side, so breathing in, leg muscles pulling up, spine nice and tall, revolving your right leg, turning it in at the hip joint, breathing out to place the foot to the mat, arch lifts, outside edge of the foot rolls into the mat. Breathing in to turn out your right leg, and breathing out to place that foot heel, ball of foot, pad of little toes evenly into the mat as you can. Breathing in to prepare and beginning to open both thigh bones away from the hip joints. Exhalation to arrive in this lunge. Breathing in from here, opening the arms. Really freeing up across the heart center. Let the collarbones release and lengthen into your arms, and the arms lengthen into the fingertips. Spine is free as you can manage. And then as we're ready, let's breathe in, reach back into the rear arm. Exhalation to bring your right hand and arm into the back of your waist, taking hold of your left thigh with your right hand if you can, or otherwise just leave it to the back of the waist. And then the spine spiraling towards your front leg, breathing in to stretch up here. Again, opening the side, the muscles that we already worked in the Chakrasana. So breathing, breathing, last breath, and breathing in to extend, to come center again, the arms nice and wide. Then from here, a forward bend. So outside edges of the feet parallel, navel pulling to the spine, hinging at the hips moving forwards. Keep your pelvis lifting off the tops of your thighs by really holding lots of engagement in your lower abdominal muscles. Coming forward as you're ready again. Breathing in to let your knees bend, lifting up through the backs of the legs from the sitting bone, from the heels to the sitting bones. Breathing in to let the knees bend, let your spine lengthen forwards from the tailbone to the crown. And breathing out to lengthen up from the heels to the sitting bones. The outside edges of the feet here stay quite strong, the arches lifted, the muscles on the outsides of your legs working, the insides of the legs stretching. So a last breath here, and then let's breathe in and walk the feet in towards us, just zigzagging them in, back to underneath the hip joints. Uttanasana for a moment, abdominal muscles nice and lifted, breathing in to roll up through the spine, all the way through again to standing. So we've worked through a lot of preparations for VRKSASANA the tree, and it's time now to think about coming into the tree posture. Just again, finding the sense more on one leg, thinking about more on your right leg, the sense of the foot nice and spread and opened and ready to take your weight. You can always just experiment with bringing the weight across onto that leg. We've already worked a little bit in Tadasana, the mountain pose, on thinking about our spine being long and the strength and the openness that we need for a tall posture, working through the muscles around the trunk. Just transferring the weight little by little towards that right leg. And initially, if you can, you're just bringing left foot to right foot, drawing up through your thigh muscles again, front and back. Seeing if you can produce that stretch between your tailbone and your heel, and the crown of the head and the tailbone. Foot to foot or foot to lower leg. Or if you feel ready, if you feel steady enough, bringing your left leg on up, pressing your foot onto the thigh. So avoid pressing your foot onto any part of your knee joint. Make sure that it's on your thigh. Sometimes you need to press the thigh towards the leg as well, especially if your trousers are a little bit slippery. So again, tailbone sinks down, heel anchors into the floor, and away from the tailbone, lengthening up. And then from here, we're going to breathe in, breathe out, let the hands come into Namaste. And if you feel ready, keeping your spine stretched, we let the arms flow up. collarbones open, shoulder blades releasing down the back. So in the VRKSASANA, the hands can either be together or they can be separate. And for me, I just prefer it a little bit this way. The energy of the practice feels a little bit more flowing to me in this position. Breathing away, holding the mental focus within the body. And then as you're ready, on an exhalation, as your hands pass down, keep your spine really tall. And once again, an exhalation to let go on that side. So just spending a moment to absorb the first side. Passing through Tadasana again. Checking in with a sense of balance between the strength and the ease of the muscles of the body that allow the body to be tall but at the same time strong. And then gradually as you're ready, just testing out, bringing the weight a little bit more towards the left foot, letting the sole of the foot be nice and open and released, engaging the centre of the heel ball of the foot, the pad of the little toe down. Trying to check in with that sense again of the tailbone lengthening to the inside of your heel and the spine lengthening from the tailbone to the crown. That strength we could feel in the trunk as we worked those positions earlier. So once again, we can practice foot to foot. If it feels easier, have something to hold on to, a wall or a bar or a chair. Have your support on the same side as your supporting leg, the leg that you're standing on. And then if you feel ready, you're bringing the foot through to the lower leg. Still just checking in with the tailbone anchoring towards your heel, the crown of your head moving in the opposite direction. And then from there again, if you feel really free through your hip joint, if your knee feels all right in this very flexed position, bringing the foot on up. So again, it might be that you press the foot against the thigh, but you also may need to press the thigh against the foot. And let's breathe in and breathe out to pass the hands through to Namaste. Keeping the tailbone moving downwards. The rest of the spine moving upwards. And as you're ready, you can let the arms flow through. So again, as I say, if you like, the hands can come together or they can be a little bit more open. And breathing here. Allowing your sides to keep lengthening so the spine is really free. Enjoying the energy of the position. Allowing your mind to really focus within your own body. Breathing. And then again with an exhalation, let's pass the hands down to Namaste. So taking care not to let your spine sink as your arms come down. And then once again, as you're ready, on an exhalation, releasing from VRKSASANA, the tree. Well done. And we're going to roll down through the spine here to release the lower back. Just a gentle position. You can always let your knees bend if that feels easier. Or take support through your shins. And after 2 or 3 breaths there, let's allow the body to relax a little bit more completely. Either coming into the child, or if you prefer, coming into Mandukasana, the frog. So we already did the supine frog lying on the back. If you find it's comfortable here, letting the pelvis open a little, the hip joints open a little, and then lengthening through your inner thighs towards the knees, sending the hips back and towards the heels. Letting the base of your spine move forwards. Walking the arms forwards and lengthening the spine through the center. And in this position, sometimes it's hard to find room for your nose. So just if that's the case, let the elbows go out to the sides a little bit. And breathing here, allowing the body to really relax in either the child or the frog. letting your breath really fill the back of the chest, and with the exhalations relaxing between the tailbone and the crown of the head. And then again, gently as you're ready, breathing in to walk the hands back towards the legs, bringing the legs towards each other again, and rolling down through the spine to relax for a few moments. You can either relax with the knees bent and the soles of the feet resting in contact with the mat, and knees can always fall in towards each other, or allowing the legs to lengthen right away. Just spending a few moments to really absorb the effects of the practice. As the inhalation comes into the body, being aware of the response of the spine. Perhaps you might be able to feel energy or length over the front of the spine. And on the exhalations, as the breath leaves the body, again being aware of the response of the spine. Perhaps you might be able to feel the spine lengthening from the crown of the head to the tailbone, and the back of the spine relaxing. Spending a few moments to absorb the effects of the practice. Acknowledging and owning any stillness, any oneness, any union or yoga that there may be through the body, through the mind, through the being, towards the length and breadth and depth of space that is the body. Being aware of the breath as it comes into the body, and again the movement of the breath as it leaves the body. You may be able to observe the effects of the breath on the spine as the breath comes into the body, the front of the spine lengthening and opening, energy over the front of the spine. With the exhalations, you'll be able to feel the back of the spine relaxing, the spinal cord processes sinking towards the tailbone, and again the spine lengthening down into the tailbone. Just resting for a few moments. Just being aware of the interaction between the breath and the spine. If the mind wanders, gently bringing it back towards that focus. Being aware of the effects of the yoga practice through the body. How the body feels within itself. The energy and the quality of the energy circulating through the body. Observing the effects of the yoga practice through the mind. Any stillness, any clarity that there may be within the energy of the mind at present. Being aware of any sense of oneness, any sense of union or yoga that there may be through the body, through the mind and through the being. Spending a few moments simply to rest in that stillness, in that union. Still the breath flowing in and the breath flowing out. Allowing the mind to keep returning to the breath. The effect of the flow of the breath over the spine.
Coming through to the next round of the breath. Beginning to prepare the body, beginning to prepare the mind once more for movement and activity. Feeling the weight of the body on the mat, knowing the space that the body occupies, the boundaries of the body where it's in contact with the mat, where clothing is resting on the skin and where air moves over the skin. And little by little down through the body, bringing a little bit of movement again into the toes and into the feet, into the fingers and into the hands. Gently and slowly allowing the head to move towards one side to draw centre again and to release towards the other side. Reel and bring the neck a couple of times in both directions. Gradually allowing the breath to adjust, bringing it back towards the length and a speed more suited again to movement and activity. With an inhalation, reaching a stretch upwards, reaching a stretch downwards into the arms, into the legs, and feeling the spine stretching in between, the muscles around the spine and all through the back awakening. Letting the sense of sight move outwards, letting the sense of hearing move out into the wider distance. We can hug the legs in and towards us and just really releasing the back, rolling a few times, different directions here. And as you're ready, rolling over, coming onto one side, resting on the side for a moment, and then rolling up through the spine towards seated. Om Shanti Namaste. Thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed practicing the tree posture for VRKSASANA. Please think about subscribing to the channel if you haven't subscribed already, and hope to see you again soon on Movement Style.